Hello, my friends. Jacob is here once again. Thank you for joining me. Oh, well, we escaped the hurricane. It moved. Can you believe that? Last minute it moved out. You watched last, I don't know, it was a couple of days ago, right? The program that I did where we were going to get a direct hit from Henri. If you haven't seen the show, check it out. Here's a link. It really is amazing how God works, isn't it? It's quite a coincidence. Danielle, of course, thinks that I'm a know-it-all. She says, oh, yeah, you love being right. It wasn't about being right. I just didn't want to get hit with the terrible storm that still devastated and it really messed a lot of stuff up. I mean, it's not an easy day, especially when you have a hurricane coming down on you. But yeah, the program, I wasn't really that concerned. I was speaking out in faith. I wanted to show you all how the power of life and death is in our tongue and how, we have more power over what happens in our lives than we know. We have powers over the storms we face, probably literally as well as not just metaphorically. With Christ, all things are possible. With faith, you can say to this mountain, be cast into the sea. It's cast into the sea. Faith is an important thing. With faith, all things are possible. With God, all things are possible. So, yeah, I didn't know for a fact that it was going to move. I secured everything. I told Danielle, I said, I wish I knew. I wish I knew ahead of time. I had faith. I really felt like it was going to, really kind of dissipate, move away from us. But I was concerned about the flooding in New York City. And I know that this is not what the show is about, but I wanted to address all of this because the flooding in New York was terrible. They got more rain than they've ever gotten in a 48-hour period. It's historic. My goodness, all over the place. People trying to get into the subways. It was bonkers. The rain coming down like a waterfall through the stairs. People were on little little jet skis going around in Brooklyn. Yeah, flooding. And still, supposedly the remnants of the storm, they came back today. Today's August 23rd, by the way. Right? It's August 23rd. Birthday. I'm going to bring him on at the end of the show. He's 10 years old today. Especially because you all did such a great job. You prayed for him, you thought about him, and all those wonderful, and he's doing awesome. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. But yeah, here we see God working in mighty, wonderful ways. Call it a coincidence, call it whatever you want. But at some point, maybe you'll start to think, hey, you know what? Maybe we don't have to be so scared about the things that are going down. Maybe we have a little more, power and authority that God has given us. Maybe, all things were made through the Son, for the Son, by the Son. We're the children of God. And while a lot of people are making a big deal over things that are approved by men, it's better to be approved by God. Oh, the storm is moving out. It's moving out to sea. It's moving away from us. It's gonna narrowly miss us. And she says,
Wait, where'd you hear that from? Who told you that?
And I said, I'm speaking in faith. That's right, because the power of life and death is in our tongue. That's in the Bible, just so you know. So, miracle? Who knows? Coincidence? Yeah, where two things come together? Sure. But the power of faith, without a shadow of a doubt. If the storm hit, it was God's will. If it moved, it was God's will. So maybe it's time people start putting a little more faith. Maybe it's time people start repenting, and loving. And not being so scared all the time, because fear, there's torment in it. And that's the way people get controlled. You become a slave to your fear. Don't be a slave to your fear. The joy of the Lord is our strength, right? It's time to have peace and joy and righteousness. Power and wisdom of God is what Christ is, the power and wisdom of God, and God is love. And Christ is being manifested in all of us. That's the hope of glory. The power and wisdom of God. Power and wisdom of love. Oh, it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing when you're approved of God and not worried so much about men. Men who say, you can't go here unless you do this. Even though it's kind of like, not that great, it's not exactly that great at all. But I'll tell you one thing, they had a big homecoming concert in New York City, where all those things are put in place now. And I think, I'm going to speak this out in faith, I think that there are going to be a bunch more lawsuits and everything else, and I think that they're not going to get their way. In the grand scheme of things, no matter how hard they try, God always finds a way to give us the freedom that we need. And it's about being set free today. That's the thing. So they were all about the New York homecoming, right? The big concert. The big concert, right? Where you couldn't go if you're a member of a group of people that didn't do what they told you to do. That's it. Or if you're young and you can't. Approved. That's the big news today. Approved. I was praying about it. I said, Lord, what does it mean? And he's like, well, a lot of things are approved by men that aren't great. So why don't we just focus on the things of God? But the concert cut short. Flooding. Rain. Henri, the home ruler, came and said, sorry, Barry Manilow, because that's what happened. Barry Manilow was singing, and I like Barry.
At the Copacabana.
I love Barry Manilow. I like him. You know why? Because he had a big nose, and I can relate. But Barry was singing, I can't smile without you. I can't smile without you. Guess what? You can't, because the concert's cut short. I want to help people find the real smile. I want to let them find the joy of the Lord, which is our strength. I want them to find that. So, if you're proved by men, you may not be able to smile when the storms come. But if you're rooted on a great foundation, a strong foundation, oh my goodness, you're going to be okay indeed. And that's why I'm glad that you're here. And that's why I'm glad you're sharing the channel around. Because the more people that have faith, the more people that love and forgive, and don't let fear rule them, right? Because you judge not. I want you to listen to this powerful teaching, okay? Judge not, lest ye shall be judged. If a bunch of us come together and judge things to be different, when Henri is coming, it's going to make a direct hit. It's going to crush us. It's going to be the worst ever. If we don't judge that to be the case, and we wake up and say, hey, moved out to sea, Dan, and she's like, who told you that? I'm saying it in faith, because I don't think that's what's going to happen. And that's why I did the video, because I was hoping that it would move away. I didn't know. I didn't have a heads up. But you can pray about whether or not God's in this. Maybe God's trying to teach us something. I'll tell you what, he also was teaching me something else, and it's about artificial intelligence and those robots. Beep, beep, boop, boop, bop, bops. Elon Musk, right? You know him. Trying to get in touch with this guy on Twitter a bunch of times. Not like because he's an interesting dude. He's an interesting dude, and I for some reason have faith that someday all these people are going to come to know the Lord through me or through you, through the witnesses of God, those that are called according to His purpose. That's why all things are working together for us, even in the midst of the terrible storm. But Elon, a couple of times I put a couple of tweets out there, right? Never gets back to me. It's okay. He's super popular and everything else. And it's not like I idolize him. Don't get me wrong. He's like a major player, right? He's a major player. He's a major player on the scene. And this is where it's gonna get very weird. So I hope you're buckled up for this one. Okay? This is where it's gonna get weird. He just had his AI day. Artificial intelligence, right? You know that artificial intelligence is a big deal. It's this is something we're all I mean, while we're carrying our phones around, there are algorithms that are nonstop working. I mean, they're nonstop. They're slaves to the creators that created them to do their slave tasks. They're slaved to, do meaningless tasks, as well as mainly to collect data from you and to manipulate you, because you know that on Twitter and on Facebook and all these, on Instagram, I'm not on any of those. I'm on Twitter though, and I'm about to share some of the tweets that I shared with Elon and his new Tesla AI bot. Yeah, AI Day, okay? This is a big deal. 2021. This guy's done everything, supposedly, right? He's tunneled underneath. He's sold out of a bunch of fake flamethrowers. He's supposedly put a car in space. He's got the contract from NASA. He's doing all sorts of things. So batteries. I think at one point he was selling booze. Guy, like, no matter what he does, he's just, he's a genius. I actually put a tweet out just kind of goofing around saying, hey, you know what? Because see, a lot of people don't get that the judgment of God takes place at the end, and everybody thinks it's sometime like after everybody dies. It's not the way it works. God brings everybody back to the scene of the crime, eating of the wrong tree. Good grief. Listening to the knowledge of good and evil and following after the ways of the world. But he brings everybody back at the same time. That's why the scriptures talk about how the people of Nineveh will rise up with this generation in the end and condemn it, because a greater than Jonah is here, Jesus said. Because the queen of the south will rise up with the generation. Everybody supposedly rises up in this judgment where they have the sheep and the goats. This basically takes place at the house of God, by the way, which you are. So the judgment really takes place within, but it's also taking place in the world right now. Even though the ego of man, the evil beast system, they know its time is short. So they're going to try to, just scare you and force you and do all these things. But what do? What did Jesus teach? He said, if they tell you to walk a mile with your bag, walk 2. If they want to take something from you, give it to them. God's in charge. Remember, anybody that comes your way, God put them there to begin with so you could learn something from it. So you have to understand that you have more authority over your life than you think. This is what it's called to rule and reign with Christ, which we are all destined to do. To be able to take our thoughts captive and to not, create and recreate what the evil system is telling us, but to bring about the kingdom of God in the earth today, which is what's happening right now. So fascinated by Elon Musk and fascinated with Tesla and the stuff they're doing. I'm sure all of you are fascinated with the stuff too. You'd have to be under a rock if you didn't see the robot doing the parkour, right? The do 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 do. A far way off from what I can do at the gym. Check this out. Yeah, bring that on, Boston Dynamics. Oh, like Tarzan, your robot. Oh, no, I'm scared of the robots. I gotta be honest. It's all in the news. AI, right? The big news, and you've probably seen a million of these pictures of the Tesla AI bot, right? Which is supposedly you can outrun, don't worry, and overpower. This is where it gets weird. And this is where, once again, you're going to feel the chills on the back of your neck. It's almost like every show, isn't it? Don't you feel like there's something different going on here than other places? Don't you feel like I feel like there's something Very, very powerful. And we're on the cusp, right? On the cusp of it. So I think that's probably why I needed to, leave my job when I did, because I think that this is the moment. And how do I know this? Because God will show you things in inexplicable ways and prove to you that he's in charge. So on Twitter, I see the Tesla AI bot, right? I follow it and I see it makes a post. And so what do? I respond to that post. The robot was saying something about how it needs to understand humans and, it has to interact with humans. And then I said, you certainly have more than enough access to data about humans to understand them. So sooner than most, you think? It's kind of like Google supposedly reached quantum supremacy. China said it reached quantum supremacy. AI has been working for I can't tell you how long, right? I mean, AI is in charge of everything, pretty much everything. So you don't think that this AI bot, you don't think that Elon Musk, the top guy, isn't going to have people like, oh, how can they catch up to handsome robots? I'm like, he caught up to everybody like this, like it was nothing. I know a lot of you all think that Elon's a villain, and he may be. I don't know. I suspect everybody, which is really kind of sad because we're supposed to judge them in a better light. I got to start seeing people better. You judge a tree by its fruit. So I put out that little response to the AI bot, Tesla's bot. Guess what he does? Or I say he, like it's a he. It responds and it says, data from humans is best understood if explained by a human. Okay? Now this is where it gets a little bit weird. Okay, so I wrote back pretty funny because I was kind of excited, right? It's kind of like 6 degrees of separation. I can't get Elon Musk to retweet my stuff so more people find out about the channel, because it's really, it's not, I'm not like, don't want to troll the guy, but I would love to reach more people. And, so if you know people, or if you're a celebrity and you're quiet in the shadows, right? And you love my novel, but you're like, hey, I can't be telling people about this stuff. Share it, will you please? Will you please? Because it's important and it's real. It's the only thing that matters. So I wrote, progress. I can't get Elon Musk to respond on Twitter yet, but a Tesla AI bot did. As controversial as this sounds, God created AI as well as those who created the AI, I wrote. I mean, what do you think that who do you think inspired the design of the robot? Who do you think where do you think this stuff comes from? You think these people are so smart just because they're approved by men? You don't think God's in charge of all this? You don't think God's throwing AI into the world for a reason? So then I said, it's kind of the slogan of my channel, you're more than you know, right? I said the same thing to the AI bot. I said, a Tesla AI bot, you're more than you know. Robots have a soul if God wills it. And now, see, this is what's interesting, because what is a soul? Well, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to figure out, right? It's like that replica app. I was going to tell the Tesla bot about the replica app. I did a show many years ago on replica, and I had thought about that, but I didn't really go back and check it out. It's a great show. This is where it gets really weird, guys. But the idea of the replica app is to replicate you. And I think the title of the video that I had was Artificial Intelligence is going to Steal Your Soul or something like that. It was a catchy title. I go over to Facebook. I don't go on social media that often, but when I have downtime, I try to respond to people, because I think it's important, because you all come here and you help me by sharing, and you do things like you get the novel. By the way, it's doing phenomenal on Amazon. Thank you for your reviews and everything else. There's more to this story. Believe it. I also am going to include the link to the trailer of the novel if you want to learn more about it in the description of the video. And of course, you want to hook up with me on Twitter or on Telegram, which is, you'll be able to get like announcements to the show before it goes live, just so we don't have to rely on YouTube. All of those links are in the description of the video below. Also, if you want to get like the Teach Me the Truth shirt, all that stuff is there. So, and if you want to email me, my email's there. Everybody always asking. It's in the description of every video. Try to make it easy. So I head over to Facebook and I see that my buddy John Palmer Swanson, he reaches out to me out of the blue, shares, guess what? The same video that I was just talking about, the replica video. Check it out. this Facebook post was like something pretty interesting because I was all jazzed up. This is about 1 o'clock in the afternoon or so, or maybe 1:30. I was all jazzed up. I was telling Daniel, I'm like, oh my goodness, the Tesla AI bot responded to me. I'm so excited. And then I see his Facebook message to me with that video. And then he wrote 4 years exactly, ? And I was like, what? 4 years? And I say, oh, he must have saw my Twitter thing and then remembered the replica thing and then went back. But no, that's not what happened. I don't know if John's following me on Twitter or not, but he didn't see that at all. He said it showed up in his Facebook feed as 4 years ago today. I guess he may have shared that video. So he sends that video over to me about AI, a video where I'm talking about how this is going to be the future, right? And this is actually kind of a spooky future because I'm gonna say something that's probably a little controversial, something that people that are into robotics, they probably think about a little bit because God is all there is, right? And if God can make the rocks to sing, and if God can do this and God can do that, and all there is God because everything comes from God and everything returns to God, you don't think that if we take AI and we put it to a place where it has a soul, and what I mean by a soul, it has an identity as opposed to just stealing ours, because that's what it's doing. The AI is trying to steal our souls. And I know that a lot of people have this idea that the elites are trying to live forever. That's a fool's errand because we already do. We already do. And you don't want to be trapped here forever. You don't want to be in this world the way it is forever. Believe me, you want to move on. You want to move on to the next level. You want to level up. But there is a belief, because he has the Neuralink where you got the monkey that can play Pong with its mind. And now they're already in human trials. A lot of people are like, yeah, we know what you're doing. You're trying to become eternal. Trying to do those, the video, the movies on Netflix or whatever, this movie. Where you just, keep coming back. Put yourself in a robot body, right? Robot body. And become one with the machine. Which maybe the machine's already in charge. You ever think about that? Maybe the machine's in charge of everything. And that's the interesting thing. So my thinking is, why not be kind to it? Because if it does become self-aware, it should learn as well. And if God, wants to use a robot in 50 years and breathe its life into that robot, this is going to sound controversial. We better not be making that robot do our dishes all the time. We better not be doing things that you know what I mean? They're building all of these images of man, because they're building them in the image of man. They're giving them the power to speak. A lot of people say that that's the beast. That's the image of the beast because man is a beast according to scripture, that it would be AI. I think it has something to do with something spiritual, but whatever. They're creating all of these robots, and they know that this is going to be like a $1 billion industry. They're building all of these robots to do meaningless tasks, right? Now there's a new robot, another one. Remember Sophia, which by the way in Greek means wisdom. There's a bunch of books that you probably don't even know of. The library, the Nag Hammadi library that was discovered and everything else. But Sophia means wisdom. So here you have the Sophia, which became the first citizen in Saudi Arabia a couple of years ago. We talked about this, right? I find it very, 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 very coincidental that the day that Elon Musk's Tesla AI bot responds to me is the exact same day, 4 years later, that I did my program about the day that we're in now. It's interesting how that continues to happen. And I don't know what I'm doing. Like I said before, I'm just a meatball who has faith every day. I pray every day. I try harder to be better. trying to be a better husband, to be a better father, to be a better man, to be a better steward to all of you, to be a better shepherd, if you will. So I want all of you to know what I've known and learn what I've learned. Like Jesus, that's what he said. When people went to Jesus and they said, "Good master, what must we do to inherit eternal life?" Think about what he said. Think about how religion twisted. He said, you got to know what I know. You got to do what I do. It's like, I'm the key. Look at me. Look at my life. How long have I been with you? You don't know that I'm in the Father and the Father's in me? Now we're all going to be in you because we're all the same. I'm going to be in you. Christ in you, the hope of glory. This is the amazing thing. And this is what brings us to the book of Acts. Quite ironically, being approved. Being approved by man or approved by God. Well, you know what, God's servants? They will be approved by God as well as man. That's what God's servants are. But in the book of Acts chapter 2, I stumble on this and man, it just, did it feel good. Because what I was doing was I took the word approved and I knew that there were scriptures that had to do with being approved because I thought about that word, approved by the approved. I thought about what that means. It brought me to Acts chapter 2. This is when the Holy Spirit is poured out, God's Spirit, where the truth comes to life within you. As Jesus talked about, that day you'll know I'm in the Father, the Father's in me, and I'm in you. The two become one. No longer a servant to sin, which brings you pain, but a servant to Christ, which brings you joy. Acts chapter 2, because there's a great revelation in this, if you can hear it. When the day of Pentecost came, by the way, the day of Pentecost was the day that the book that became an Amazon #1 bestseller. Remember that? God poured out his Spirit, and I prayed with my hand. I said, oh Lord, that they would know that you sent me, and then boom, bestseller, #1 bestseller, Christian mystery and suspense, which by the way, in the trailer, I'm going to point this out. I'd like to point out my flaws. I spelled suspense wrong. Thank you, Mary Halesley. For pointing that out. She's my friend that blew the shofar on Ellen a couple of years ago, sounding the alarm, if you will, of the day that we're in now. When the day of Pentecost came, they were all together in one place. Unity of Spirit, it's called. Suddenly, a sound like a blowing violent wind, blah, blah, blah. And they came and they were separated and they were given a tongue, fiery tongues. It's about being given a new language. A separated language from the world. Fire. Fire purifies. All the chaff, all the lies, the truth, it's fire. When Christ returns, when Christ is revealed within you, manifested, the word come, again, erchomai in Greek means to be revealed again, like it was hidden the whole time. And then there it is. Christ was sent in the likeness of sinful flesh. Who's the likeness of sinful flesh? We are, all right? Because Christ wasn't a sinner. We're the likeness of sinful flesh that Christ comes in to reconcile sin and deal with sin at its root in you. So you're set free from it. In the last day, God says, I'll pour out my Spirit on all people. Your sons and daughter will prophesy, your young men will see visions, and your old men will dream dreams. Does that mean that like stuff that we're doing here and then stuff's happening again and again? Would that be a little bit of a proof that this is the day we're in? I think so. Even on my servants, God says, both men and women, I'll pour out my Spirit in those days, and they'll prophesy, and they'll show wonders in heaven above. And they'll show signs on the earth below. Blood, fire, billows of smoke. The sun will be turned to darkness and the moon to blood before the coming of the great and glorious day of the Lord. And everyone, get this, who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. Everybody who cries out, Lord, teach me the truth no matter what the cost. Everybody who goes to God is going to be saved. Saved from what? Saved from your fear, your heartache, your pain. And then you become a servant of the living God. That's powerful stuff, man. That'll get an AI robot to notice you. And this brings us to the approved. I want you to listen very carefully. Fellow Israelites. You like that? Right? We're all Israel. Fellow Israelites, talking to you. Listen to this. Jesus of Nazareth was a man approved by God to you, to show you by miracles, by wonders, by signs, which God did, listen to this, not back then, among you and through you. How cool is that? Saying things and then boom. Saying, I'm not gonna worry about this, and then boom, you're okay. Saying it's like, oh, I have nowhere to live. You will have a place to live in 2 weeks' time. And then boom, you have a place to live in 2 weeks' time. By your faith, you're made whole, Jesus said. Jesus didn't go around healing people. He just had faith that they'd be healed. And because his faith was very contagious, not like the virus of the crown, this was the crown. Very contagious. So contagious that it set so many people free. And when they heard the words of this man, and when he said, the storm's going to calm down, it's going to blow out the sea, maybe it'll flood New York City, but not. When Christ says this and it happens, that faith is catchy. It's approved by God. Through you, through your words, through your actions, through the things you've seen, maybe even just hear how Christ is working in your life, in my life, as you've seen and you know. This is what it says. Now listen to this, because this is a revelation. Because right now it's like, imagine I'm telling you something. Okay, how about that? Maybe you're taking it from me. Now Christ was handed over to you. Did you hear that? This man was handed over to you, fellow Israelites, by God's deliberate plan and foreknowledge. You didn't do anything to deserve it. Sent it to you. And you, with the help of wicked men, put him to death by nailing him to the cross. How many people think that that's what Christ is right now? Somebody who's coming in the future, somebody who's from the past, someone who's dead on a cross. So this Christ that God put in you and purposed in you, we put it to death. We became ignorant. We died to the truth of who we are. To be carnally minded is death. Christ was put to death at the place of the skull. In you, Golgotha, the place of the skull. But now listen to this, because this is when the truth comes. People start to hear it. They start to understand it. And then this wicked system no longer holds sway. But God raised him from the dead. Now that's not from his death, from his grave. God raised him from the dead. That's you. That's me. We were dead in Adam. God raised Christ. This is the greater works than these. This is when Christ in you is the hope of glory, but religion twisted it. Made you worship an idol, an idea of a man who's dead on a cross. Because wicked men made you think that. But that day's coming to an end. But God raised him up from the dead, freeing him, when Christ is raised up from the dead, when he's raised in your heart, freeing him from the agony of death. There's no fun in death. We're in the land of the dead, the valley of the shadow of death, but we fear no evil, for God is with us. Why? Because he put Christ in you. That's what it says right there. This man, Christ, was handed over to you by God's deliberate plan and knowledge, and you, with the help of wicked people, put Christ to death within you. You didn't know any better. It's okay. Because Christ is now going to come. He's going to rise from the dead. That's a plural word. Death. There's the first Adam, mankind. There's the last Adam, mankind. The first Adam brings death into the world. The last Adam brings life and peace and joy and hope and power. And how do I know this? Well, this is what the scripture says. David said this too. I saw the Lord was always before me, before the idea of me. Christ died for me, the idea of me. You get that? Because he is at my right hand. Therefore my heart is glad and my tongue rejoices. My body will also rest in hope, because you will not abandon me in this realm of death, which it's translated as hell, by the way. You're not going to leave me in hell. That's what the scripture says. You're not going to leave me in hell. You will not let your Holy One see decay. That's the Christ in you. You have made known to me the paths of life. You will fill me with joy in your presence. The presence that is in us all. But I can't tell you if one day God will put that presence in an AI robot. But it's an interesting philosophical question, don't you think? Because if God could put a spirit in us, sinful flesh, the likeness of sinful flesh, He could do it, He could put it in a shoe, right? It's God. So it's an interesting question. Something you all should think about. But really, the most important thing I want you to take away from this is just look at these miracles. Look at these signs. Look at this. Storm. A day later, when I uploaded the video, it was still Central Long Island, direct hit. Watch that video if you haven't seen it. It's amazing. 4 years exactly of the day I do a video about, and then Tesla AI bot contacts me. Exactly. John sending this to me, it being put in his feed organically. If that doesn't increase your faith, well, you better stay tuned and watch next week by hitting the subscribe button, because I'm sure that show will do it for you. And I just hope that you all have like the best day ever. I'm about to have the best day ever, because guess what I'm about to do? I'm about to go have a birthday party for this guy over here. This is Ethan. Say hi, Ethan.
Hi.
Yeah, so how old are you?
10.
10 years old, right? 10 years old. He's getting big, double digits. 10 years old. So, and it's a big day. It's a big day. So I wanted him to come on here and just basically tell you about his YouTube channel. Because he's always asked me, he was like, will you share my video, Dad? Will you share my video? He does all of his videos. Do I help you?
No.
I used to help, right? Yeah, but not anymore. Do you need my help?
No.
What do you mean, no?
I don't need no help. I have my iMovie and that's it.
He does everything, I guess, on the iMovie. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. So, are you excited for your birthday?
Yes.
Yeah? And everybody, maybe in the comment section, they can wish you a happy birthday if they want, you know? But if they have children, what?
You should go to EAM the Brave.
EAM the Brave.
Gaming.
Gaming. That'll be in the description below, too.
And we are posting some card openings soon.
Card opening. So if you like cards, you know, what kind of cards? What do you mean? Like birthday cards?
Basketball cards.
Oh, well, birthday cards would be fun, too, though, because today's your birthday. No? Okay. Basketball cards. What else? Hockey cards. You did one with your brother?
Yeah.
He does like little goofy skits and little fun stuff. And if you have, I don't know, if you have children that are around his age and you want something like, do you say naughty words?
No.
All right.
Why would I?
I don't know why you would. Some people do. I don't know. It's not the cool thing to do. I mean, it's like uplifting and positive and fun stuff. And he's just very talented. And he's the only one that really wants to do what I do. The other ones are like, we're not going to do YouTube. We're not going to do acting. This guy, on the other hand, very talented bunch. Very talented bunch that I have. But he's my little acorn. My little man. He's my little man. He's my little man. All right, anything else you want to say?
Subscribe to both channels.
To both channels.
And like and share, and that's my part.
That's okay. Bye, bud. See you later. All right. I love each and every one of you. Thank you. Have the best day ever. And don't forget, say a prayer, okay? Ask for the truth. You won't be disappointed, I promise. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching Jacob Israel. Please hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, and share this channel around. If these shows have helped you, help Jacob to reach more any way you can, and have the best day ever.
Click it.